There is just no way that with the same perspective that you utilized to create the bad habit, that with that same perspective, you're going to get out of that bad habit. There's just no way. It requires a brand new perspective. Hey everyone, this is Miguel. I am the host of Strategy Rewind podcast, the podcast that focuses on the mindset and strategies needed for a breakthrough moment. I am also a personal growth strategist. What that means is that I help individuals think strategically so that they may be able to accomplish their breakthrough moment. Let me ask you something. How many times have you established a goal, yet you don't accomplish it? Here's where I come in. Together with my clients, I've been able to establish strategies that would help them obtain a breakthrough moment. The idea is to think strategically. Of course, the question now becomes, what does it mean to think strategically? To think strategically means that you are able to pivot. Furthermore, you are able to see a solution even when you feel like there isn't one. Most often what I've seen is that we know what we have to address, what we have to fix. We know and hear the elephant in the room as it moves and the land trembles. We hear it, we see it, but we don't want to address it, or we're fearful that in the attempt of trying to address it, we'll fail. So here is where you need a personal growth strategist, someone that will be able to help you gain clarity, be able to pivot, be able to think strategically, and be able to challenge your perspective. You see, your point of view isn't going to change. And the reason is it's not going to change. It's because you only have one point of view, yours. My daughters, they like to play this game called Minecraft. Maybe you've heard of it. And in Minecraft, you are a one-person character, meaning all you see is what's in front of you. Another character has to come and stand in front of your character in order for you to be able to see what your character looks like. Or you can have like this outer body view where you see your character doing something. Otherwise, all you see is his hands and whatever they have in their hands. And such is the way in life. All you see is, well, your hands. And you're making the best decisions that you can based upon the information that you have at your disposal. Now, you may make some mistakes, you may make some bad judgments, but it's based upon the information you had at that moment. When we ask the question, are you happy with your decisions? Most often we think about the conclusion, the results. This question has zero to do with the results. It has everything to do with your ability to process the information that you had at that particular moment. So the question of, are you happy with your decision, has everything to do with your ability to decipher the information that is around you, be able to investigate, and be able to, well, make the best decision at that moment. What will happen is that because of the results, let's assume they were not favorable, what will happen is that your perspective will change. Meaning you initiated the issue with one perspective, and at the end you had a different perspective. This newfound perspective may allow you to see, I maybe took the wrong decision. But of course, not all is lost, because with this new perspective, you now have a more rounder and healthier perspective where you can make better decisions, meaning that when you find yourself in a similar situation, you can make a better judgment call. And then the question of, are you happy with your decisions, will most likely lead to the answer yes. What we find is that oftentimes people think that, well, my perspective isn't going to change, or my perspective is the correct one. If you stay in that mindset, then you're not going to allow yourself to actually grow or actually win. The idea here is that you would have a winning mindset, but the winning mindset is going to require dedication from you, and you're going to have to recommit yourself every day to the purpose that you have. And so the idea of purpose is this abstract idea for many individuals. It's almost at a distant place somewhere far, far away in another universe. But the truth is that oftentimes we feel it right in our hearts, right in our guts. We feel it in our souls of what our purpose is, of what our calling is. Most often we are afraid of launching towards it because we think we're not well equipped, or we have what is known as imposter syndrome. That is, we think that someone will see us, they will spot us out and say, hey, you don't belong in the room. The fact is that if you're in the room, then you ought to take advantage of it. You've often heard the phrase fake it till you make it, which I do not subscribe to that idea of fake it till you make it. And I don't subscribe to that idea because I think that what should happen is that your skills and your understanding of something should eventually level out. Now, at the beginning part, you're going to have more of a theory of how it should work, more of a hypothesis. And of course, you're then working that out. So you shouldn't be afraid of looking silly because you're still figuring it out. You shouldn't be afraid of going to the gym and lifting 10 pounds as opposed to 100 pounds because you want to look like you're the strongest in the room. That doesn't benefit you. Ultimately, the idea is that you would do the simplest task first so that you would not overthink the task, and thus you are able to create momentum. Once momentum is on your side, you are able to then build on that and elevate. So from 10 pounds, you go to 20, 20, 40, 40, eventually 80. I think you get the point. The thing is that we often lean on our own understanding. And again, we hug our own perspective. We think, I got this, I got it under control, I know what I'm doing. And truly, sometimes we just don't. We just have a wrong perspective. But how do we gain a better perspective? Aside from, falling down and getting back up. Well, the idea would be that the way for you to gain a more well-rounded perspective is through dialogue, it's through conversation, it's through studying, it's through actually challenging your perspective. Again, your point of view isn't going to change because you only have one point of view, yours. As I mentioned, these first-person video games allow us to see that. The first game that I ever saw as a first-person kind of character thing was a game that I played on a computer, and it was called Doom. Some of you know what game I'm talking about, but I'm going to tell you something. The first time I played that game, I just did not like it. Minecraft, I can play. Maybe it's because of my daughters that are more willing, but I'm not really a big fan of first-person games because I can't see the whole scene, the whole panorama of what's happening. I can't see who's behind me. You see this a lot in first-person shooter games where all you see is your individual holding their gun, holding their weapon of choice. But the truth of the matter is that, well, I'm just not a fan of those games because, again, I can't see the whole thing. What happens is those games, those first-person shooter games, is that you have to have a team that will watch your back. And so often we're trying to go at our goal by ourselves. And the truth of the matter is that in those moments of difficulty, of challenges, you need somebody to pick you back up. You need somebody that will celebrate the wins with you and somebody that will elevate you, even in those moments where you don't feel so good. So if you're going at it by yourself, you're going to encounter difficulty. Now, maybe you're saying, well, I'm a lone wolf. I have to do it by myself. The truth is, and I think you know this, eventually, it's not going to help you. Two are always better than one. Why? Because one will fall, stumble, and then you're stuck looking around. Who shall help me? Who will get me out of this hole? But when you are walking and when you are in the journey with someone who understands the call, who understands the mission, well, then what happens is that you're able to accomplish more. So I want you to consider this. Surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision. Now, this may challenge your perspective, but if you actually do this, what will happen is that you'll begin to elevate, and the sense of community actually challenges you. Have you ever gone to the gym before with somebody else who's been to the gym? What happens is that their consistency challenges your consistency. Initially, you were maybe tired, but because they pushed it another mile, you went another mile. And then because you pushed it another mile, they go another mile, and then you push it another mile. And eventually, you end up doing more than what you even thought possible. This is why it's important to select properly the individuals that you spend your time with. Why? Because assimilation comes by association. Is it possible that your perspective is being influenced by the individuals that surround you, where their perspective is one of defeat, one of doom and gloom, and then you're just taking on that same perspective? Is it possible that the individuals that you've built a relationship with have influence, and they've influenced you to believe nothing will ever change? So why even try? Is it possible that right now you're working with a mindset of someone else who you don't even know have traits of someone who is toxic, right? They have toxic traits, they have limiting beliefs, and of course, they have their own habits. I want to challenge you right now to begin to think about the possibilities, dream bigger than ever before, aim higher than ever before. In order for you to aim higher, and in order for you to aim towards more, there's a few things you have to do. You have to align your values with your goals. And then you have to begin to actually investigate what is important to you. This is where your values come in. Once you've identified what success means to you, then you can meticulously view your habits and routines, because I guarantee you it's going to be a stone that you turn over that you've never turned over before, and you're going to find some things about you that you may not like. Again, align your values with your goals. If you actually believe something, you have to aim towards that. It can't be that you say you believe family is the most important thing, but you never actually spend time with your family. Align your values with your goals. Then you want to identify what is the definition of success for you. Having identified what the definition of success for you is, makes it a lot more easier to actually pursue it. And you want to meticulously examine your habits and routines. Why? Because you can set your goal, you can align them with your values, and you can even identify what the definition of success for you is. But if you overlook your habits and your routines, then you overlook the daily life that you live. And again, your point of view isn't going to change. So you're only living life through your eyes, but your perspective can. Sometimes it's our habits. Sometimes it's our experiences. Sometimes it's the people that surround us that affect our perspective. And so what I want to challenge you today is that if you want to aim for more, that you would begin to analyze, that you would begin to align your values with your goals. What's most important to you? And maybe you're saying, well, that sounds great, but I don't know where to start. Head over to miguellebron.com. Click on my blog section, because there's a blog there that I wrote about core values and identifying core values. Once you've been able to identify your core values, by the way, there's a list there that you can access. You don't have to put in an email or anything. You can just click on the list and it will allow you to select from there whatever value you'd like. Now, once you've been able to identify the value, then you can begin to actually define what your definition of success is. And of course, begin to meticulously examine your habits and routines. Maybe this seems out of stretch for you. Maybe this seems too simple for you, but oftentimes what I've seen is that it's the simplest thing that lead to massive results. It's practical goals lead to a radical life. Now, if you feel as though you need further assistance, support, if you need a success buddy in this journey, I want to encourage you that while you're there at miguellebron.com, set up a free clarity call with me, set up a free strategy session so that you can have your breakthrough moment. There's no need for you to continue doing the same thing and expecting a different result. After all, we know that that's the definition of insanity. And a person as smart and as intelligent, as wise as you, I'm sure that you are hungry for success. But, well, your definition of success can't be that of everyone else. After all, the point of view that you have is yours and no one else's.